Hello and welcome, everyone. I'm Nanette George. I'm part of the product marketing team at Dataiku. So you've already started doing it, but we're excited to hear from where you're joining us from today. So if you'd like, put your location in the chat window at the top right of your screen. Awesome. Wow. Michigan, Netherlands, New Jersey, Mumbai. Wow. Ireland, Sweden. Nice. This is great. Malaysia. Fantastic. We've got Canada. We've got a lot of people from Europe. Another one from North Carolina. That's where I'm based. Fantastic. Welcome, everybody. Awesome. Again, I'm Nanette George. I'm part of the product marketing team at Dataiku. I'm based in North Carolina in the United States. I'm excited to be your host today. We're going to show you how to use agent tools in Dataiku. Presenting today is going to be my colleague, Daniel Ionita. Daniel is a senior solutions engineer at Dataiku. He's based in Amsterdam in the Netherlands. Prior to his work at Dataiku, he was a sales engineer for Sitecore and a full stack developer for Moving Picture Company. So he has development experience in Python and JavaScript. And we're at about 2 minutes, so I think we'll get right into it. Today, you're going to learn how to design and implement an AI agent in Dataiku. We'll help you discover some of the tools that are available in Dataiku for building agents. And we're going to share some strategies for testing, monitoring, and sort of improving that agent's performance. Now we're just about at the 3-minute mark, so I'll share a few housekeeping items. This webinar is recorded. You're going to receive an email after the webinar with the recording and some additional content. And about an hour after the session, you can use the same link that you used here to join the webinar, and you'll be able to access the recording. It just takes a little while for that to render right after we wrap the session. And if you have any questions, please add them to the Q&A tab on the top right of your screen. You can ask questions in the chat, but if you ask them in the Q&A, we can actually answer them right next to your question, so it makes it a little easier. And we're going to respond to your questions at the end of the session. If we can't get to your question, I can follow up with you by email with an answer. So I'll have your email and your question, and I can follow up with you directly. And I'm going to share my email with you too here so that you can see. It's not on this slide, but I'll put it in the chat. My email address is right there, nanette.george@dataiku.com. So feel free to reach out to me directly if you have questions after the session. All right. I think I'll move right into our agenda for today. So first, we're going to clarify what we mean when we say AI agent. And then we're going to give you an overview of the Dataiku Toolbox. Then we're going to get right into the demo to show you how you can use tools to build an agent. And this agent is going to be a market research agent, sort of a news curation agent. And then finally, at the end, we'll have some time to answer your questions. All right. So what is an AI agent? So there are a lot of definitions out there, and it's a pretty hot topic right now. But at the core, we say that an AI agent is an LLM, so a large language model powered system that's designed to achieve objectives across multiple steps, and generally with a concept of going beyond just answering a question. So it can do more than just that, but it definitely can do that too. All right, so one of the easiest ways to understand agents is to compare them to something that we are by now pretty familiar with, Gen AI chatbots. So when you use a chatbot, you ask a question and the chatbot gives you an answer, right? But agents do more than just answer the question. They still may do some of those initial steps as a chatbot in some cases, but they're able to go beyond that, taking multiple steps and taking certain actions. So in our comparison example here, we have a chatbot on the left that can answer your questions about your company's expense policy. But an AI agent in this space would be able to do things like review receipts, check them against policies, flag any issues, route items for approval, make updates to data systems, and send follow-up messages if needed. So the potential for AI agents to autonomously handle meaningful chunks of complex workflows opens up a world of possibilities. We can, of course, automate existing processes, but there are also opportunities to do completely different things and reimagine business processes in light of what these agents can do. So with that in mind, we are excited to show you exactly how you can get started building your own agent in Dataiku so that you can unlock the next phase of growth for your organization and ultimately for your career. So before we jump into the demo, I think it might be interesting for us to get a sense of where we stand with regard to adoption of agents. So I'm going to just do a quick preview of a poll that we're going to do. So I'm going to open up the poll and you'll have a chance to put in your answer, like, are you building AI agents today? So I want to make sure everybody can see that. Are you able to see the poll and answer the question? Looks like we can. Okay, some votes are coming in. All right. So, the answers here are like, no, we're not doing agents, but we're not, and we're not sure we will. No, we're not doing agents, but we do plan to do them. Yes, we're building agents, and yes, we actually have some in production. So I'll give it a few more moments here. And then I'll share the results with you all so you can see where everybody's at. Okay, it looks like we've sort of hit a critical mass here. All right, I'm going to close the poll and then I'm going to share the results. Okay, so it looks like we've got about 13%, 14% are saying no, and we're not sure we're going to create them. About half say no, but we plan to create them. We've got about 27, almost a third of us are, yep, we're building agents. And then just like 10, 11% are saying we have them in production, which isn't surprising because it's quite a journey to get from that build right over, get them into production. All right, I'm going to go back to the slides and bring you to this one. So I want to talk a little bit about, what are tools? And basically what we mean here, like in Dataiku, tools are functions that are invoked during a conversation or when you're using code to perform a predefined task. So tools in the agent toolbox can perform functions like search documents in a knowledge bank or call another LLM or agent, maybe send an email or message. There are tools that are pre-built in Dataiku, such as the ones I just mentioned, and then you can create your own tools in Dataiku based on your specific business requirements. For more information about tools, I'm going to put in the chat where you can visit to learn more about these tools in Dataiku. All right. And then I'm going to hand it over to Daniel so he can talk a little bit about the tools that are available in Dataiku.
Thanks, Nanette. Yeah, so as Nanette mentioned, tools are really here to enhance what your LLM system can do. What you see on the screen now are some examples of the tools that you can already use in Dataiku if you install the latest version. These could range from dataset lookup all the way to performing a prediction using a Dataiku model. And these tools could come in different flavors. You'll see that most of these are visual tools, but users could build their own tools as well and make them available as visual tools for other users, as well as writing inline Python if you're developing a code agent. And if we go to the next slide, what I want to walk you through is exactly what I will be building today. So we will be building, as again, Nanette mentioned, a market research agent. See this as Google Alerts on steroids or V2. We want to showcase, some of the Dataiku powers. We'll first ask our agent to fetch some information from a dataset using the dataset lookup tool, which is a default tool within Dataiku. Then we'll use that information with the Google search tool, which will augment our agent with the latest news information, which will be used to create a nice email summary that then will be sent to us using the send email tool. So yeah, pretty simple, only three tools inside one agent. But of course, this is just the start. Hopefully by the end of this session, you'll get inspired to build your own agents that maybe do solve problems that are more closer to you and things that are very important. So we'll get started with that right away. Nanette, I think you will need to stop sharing so I can share my own screen. Perfect. So if we go to Dataiku, I hope you can see a Dataiku instance. Nanette, could you confirm?
Yes, we can see that. And maybe just bump your screen size a bit so that folks can see.
I remind that. It's already at 125. If those of you in the chat can't see, please let me know. I'm happy to make it slightly bigger. Okay. So we'll get started by creating a new project, just like everybody else would. So we'll name this project the Market Scanner Agent 2 because I already created one. And the first thing that you'll see when you go through this is that Dataiku prompts you to import your first data set. And in my case, I'm very lucky that my colleagues have done the hard work and they already told me what companies they care about and what topics they care about. So instead of getting it from a particular place, I'm just going to search and import and see what we have available. So I'm going to search for companies and topics. And I can see this looks about right. It was used in another project. I could preview this. And interestingly, they added the latest Llama 4 model, which actually I'm very curious to see what the internet says about. So I'm happy with this. I'm just going to choose this project and add it to my flow. Now, this will be appearing as a new square, which allows me to do various things with it. I'm just going to quickly double check again, hit the preview button to make sure that we have the right one. And what I noticed is that I actually have multiple topics within one column, which I don't like that much. So what we're going to do next is actually do a bit of data preparation. As you know, every data project requires some data preparation. So we're going to quickly do a bit of that. In my case, I'm happy with the final storage location. And I could go ahead and choose from predefined steps within Dataiku to do that data preparation. But again, we live in a Gen AI world and everybody wants to communicate and describe in natural language what they want to do. So that's exactly what I'm going to do as well. I'm going to tell Dataiku that I want it to split the topic column on the comma. And when I hit generate, Dataiku will go ahead and try to find the appropriate steps that are necessary to perform this action. In this case, it chose only one step, which is the split step. And I could double check that it did it correctly. So I can see the column is topic, the delimiter is comma. That's perfect. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to hit run. So what this does goes ahead and applies all of these transformations to my full data set. And if I go into my flow again, I could see again that this looks pretty good. I'm happy with how the data set looks like. So we're finally ready to use it within our agent. So within Dataiku, there's multiple ways to create agents. Depending on your skill levels, you could choose to create code agents, which are Python-based, which gives you a lot of flexibility to choose whatever framework you like most to build those agents. But if you're a beginner and you want to build something quickly, that is the visual agent that will allow you to really build something powerful within a couple of minutes. And hopefully by the end of the session, we'll be able to do the same thing. The first thing you'll be asked for is a name. In my case, I'm going to name it very boringly Market Scanner Agent. Then you'll notice that Dataiku automatically creates a version for us. So in this case, I have nothing in version 1, but in the future, if I want to maybe to iterate on my agent and keep one version active while I work on different versions, I could always add a new agent version. But in this case, we're just going to work on version 1. The first thing that you need is a LLM to connect to your agent. Again, within my own Dataiku instance, my Dataiku administrator was kind enough and enabled quite a few LLMs. In this case, we can see Azure OpenAI and the regular OpenAI. All of these are part of the LLM mesh, which gives you a very secure way to access these models. It gives you lots of benefits using it through the Dataiku LLM mesh, which, yeah, sadly, we don't have time to go through today, but hopefully in another session, feel free to join. We'll dive in further. In my case, I know that GPT-4 is quite good for this type of task, so I'm just going to choose that one. And then the next thing that we have to do is instruct our agent in what it should do. Now, when it comes to prompting, I highly recommend using our prompt studios capabilities to iterate on your prompt. But in this case, we wanted to save some time, so I've written that prompt before. And what we said is that you're an expert at summarizing the latest news using the search web tool and helping a user keep up to date with the latest advancements given a company name. Use the get topic tool to find the relevant topics for the given company, then create 3 bullet points with what you find in the news and provide the link so the user can visit the source articles. Once you gather those bullet points, use the send email tool to inform someone about the 3 bullet points you found. So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. But as you noticed, we referenced some tool names. So now we actually need to add those. In my case, I didn't create them yet, so we'll go ahead and create them. I'm just going to quickly save this, then go into my agent tool section within Dataiku, which allows me to create various tools. As I mentioned earlier, some of these are already present. Some of them could be created by the community, or you could use directly Python. But in my case, I could see that I have exactly what I need. The first thing that I need is a tool called get topic that allows me to look up a record in a data set. So remember that data set that we just prepared, we want to extract the topics from those given the company name. So we're going to hit create. Again, Dataiku very simply will walk us through the process of configuring this. In this case, I will need the companies and topics prepared data set. Then we need to specify the lookup column. In my case, I'll search for the company. So once we provide the company, then give me those topics. And then the data column will be the data that we retrieve. So in my case, I'm going to get split 0, 1, and 2. And then lastly, we need to specify a retrieval mode. Depending on your use case, you may choose multiple records, but for us, we just want to get one single record, so that topic. And then, very importantly, we need to also give it a description. The description really helps the agent know when to use a specific tool. That's why it's very important. So in this case, we're going to say, use this tool when you need to find what topic to use when a company name is given. From here, if I wanted, I could also go ahead and really test this. So the quick test tab will allow you to provide that column and the value that you're looking for, as well as an operator if you want to maybe not look for an exact match. But in my case, I'm happy with this. So I'm just going to test for company name. And here we want to get OpenAI maybe. So when we hit run, you will see that it gives us all of those 3 topics. So the tool works perfectly, gives us exactly what we need. In this particular example, what I also like to do is give extra context to the model in how it can use this tool. Because it's multiple operators, I wanted to always use the operator equals. So I'm going to quickly paste this test query as well in the additional description so the model knows exactly how to use this. And then that's it. We're done with our first tool. The next thing that we want to do is configure our search the web tool. So again, we're going to go back to our agent toolbox, click on new agent tool, give it a name. So again, we're going to name this search web, and then use the search the web with Google. Now, Google is one of the options that we have configured here. I know Brave is very, very popular within the GenAI community. If you want, you could possibly use that as well using custom Python if you want to. But for us, Google works fine. And the first thing that we're being asked here is for a Google custom search ID. I have no idea what this is, but I'm hoping that some of my colleagues maybe have used this in the past. So I'm going to use the search DSS capability to see if somebody has actually used a Google search ID. And it looks like we're lucky this time. Google search ID is a data set within Dataiku, so I could just jump in there and see what it says. Maybe I could look in the description. It even says that use this for Google search tools. So it might be the right one. So I'm just going to quickly copy this ID value from here, go back into my Google custom search ID and paste that in there. Then you'll also need to provide a API connection. Dataiku allows you to easily manage that. Typically, it's done by a Dataiku administrator. So it looks like, again, they were very nice to give us a company-approved key, so I don't have to use my own wallet. And then we also need to provide, again, a quick description. So in this case, the description that we're going to give is use this tool to search for news articles for a given company name and topic. And that's it. I could go ahead and test this, but I'm quite happy with this. So we can go ahead and create the last tool that we need. And that tool is send email. So I'm going to give it a name, send email or message, and then hit create. Here, you'll notice that there's multiple options, so you don't have to stick to email. If your organization prefers Slack or Microsoft Teams, you could choose those channels, but I thought email might work just fine for this. So we're going to select that. Then you'll need to provide a channel, again, an SMTP channel that's usually configured by your IT administrator. Then we can provide a sender. I'm going to use my own email for this. And I'm going to also send emails just to myself. Can also modify the subject. So in this case, I'm going to say, here are your latest news, and then a message source. In some cases, you could use a template, but for us, I know exactly what I want to send. So I'm just going to do inline. And in here, I'm going to paste the message variable. Again, if you wanted to customize this, you can do it however you wish. But for us, I just want the message that the LLM gives us. And for the description, again, very important, we'll add the following message. So use this tool to send emails with the summary you found from your research. And then that's it. We have all the tools that we need to finally empower our agent to send us some emails. So we're going to go ahead, go back to our models and agents, go back to our version 1, and make sure that we enable our agent with the tools that we just created. So we're going to do get topic. We're going to also add search the web. And lastly, send email. Again, like every other place, Dataiku allows you to quickly test things if you wanted to. So I'm going to go to the quick test tab and say, in this case, maybe we already looked at OpenAI. Maybe we want the latest news for Anthropic. And when you hit run, what this will do is really start that agent process. So the agent will decide when to use each one of those tools to perform the instructions, the task that we asked it to do. So hopefully you'll go and get a topic from that data set that we've configured. And after that, hopefully you will search the web with those topics and company names, and then finally put that all together and sending us an email. So it looks like the response was correct. We asked it about Anthropic. It gave us more than 3 bullet points, but I don't complain. What I want to do actually now is test to see whether those links are real and it doesn't hallucinate. So I'm going to quickly switch to my email address. And if I share this tab instead and refresh, we should see one of those Anthropic news. And if we click on one of these links, hopefully, if I again share this tab instead, yeah, this looks like this was a real news article, so I can get that information directly from there if I wanted to. But it was super nice to see that the model summarizes that for me and gives me all of this information. Now, that's just one way of doing things. As I said, this is just a simple example. What I want to walk you through next is how you could offer the users a more familiar interface. Of course, this is quite helpful, but most people now are used to chat. They want to chat to the model, regardless of being a simple model or an agentic model. So we're going to show you how you can easily create a very simple chat interface within Dataiku next. So within the web applications, Dataiku allows you to create this visual web apps. These could range from Agent Connect that allows you to connect multiple agents, or a simple answers chat interface, all the way to some trace explorers if you want to dive in deeper into your agentic workflows. But for us, answer works just fine. So I'm going to name the chat and hit create. From here, we will be asked to provide an LLM. Now, because we've created our agent, you'll see that within the list, we also have our new agent available, the market scanner agent. Then you will be asked to provide a data set where conversation history is being saved. This is super helpful because then we can keep track of what people are asking, what sort of responses they're getting, and perhaps use some of the evaluation tools within Dataiku to assess the performance of our models. So in this case, I'm going to create a new data set. I'm going to just name it Convos. It's very important to save it in a SQL database. So I'm going to save it in Snowflake. And then I'm going to do the same for user profiles. User profiles, it's yet another data set that you'll need to provide to perhaps save preferences for a particular user. So if somebody prefers French instead of English, all of that information could be saved there. So I'm going to just name it users, make sure it's stored in Snowflake, and then hit create data set. As you notice, there's I already have this. So we're going to change users too. As you notice, there's quite a few other settings that you have in here. So if you wanted to dive in deeper and maybe choose how the feedback is being stored, further LLM configuration, or doing some sort of retrieval, whether that's from a data set or a knowledge bank, Dataiku makes it very simple with this user interface. But of course, for us, again, it's a very simple example. So we're not going to go into too many of these, but just wanted to let you know that those are available. I'm very happy with this. So I'm just going to hit save. So hopefully once this spins up, we'll be able to interact with the agent that we just created using, again, a chat interface. So if I go to the View tab, I could now ask finally about the thing that I was very curious all day about, Meta. And hopefully we should see something about the latest Llama 4 model in the results. And now you probably ask yourself, well, why do this compared to a standard method like you showed us earlier? I would say the advantage of adding a chat interface on top of this is that the users could continue their conversation. So their emails could still be sent, but then now they could ask, why should I use this over OpenAI? This could be very interesting because the actual model behind the agent is OpenAI. So it should probably tell us, no, you should always use OpenAI, but we'll see. In this case, yeah, comparing Meta Llama 4, it seems that both companies are making significant advancements. So it doesn't really say why I should use it or not, but still giving us some helpful information. So that's yet another way in which you could use these agents. I hope you found this helpful. Of course, this is a very simple example, but with these components, you can build all sorts of agents that will solve problems that you care about. Given that it's a Dataiku project, you could take it further and apply evaluations. You could perhaps apply some automation so then people get their emails whenever they need to get them, really giving you the flexibility to, as Nanette said, enhance how you're doing certain processes today in an agentic way and really improve or add some efficiency into those processes. I will stop here. I know you probably have lots of questions. We wanted to make sure that we give you enough time for questions, but yeah, thank you very much. And I hope you like this.
Awesome. Thank you, Daniel. If you want to stop sharing, I'll go just share our questions slide here so folks know where we're at in the process. And I will share some of the questions that we're getting so that you can answer them. And if there's a question we can't answer, we will email you with information if we can't answer it today live. So first up, we have a question from Matthew. Will today's workshop be dependent on a certain version of Dataiku? So he says they're still on 13.3, and I happen to know that the coded agents are available in 13.3, as long as you're working with the advanced LLM mesh with Dataiku. But Daniel, if you want to share a little more about that.
Yeah, so what we've shown today was the visual agents, but of course you could accomplish the exact same thing with code agents in your current version. But I highly recommend upgrading to 13.4 where you will be getting the visual agents as well. It makes it so much simpler, especially if you're quickly testing things. It's highly recommended.
Awesome. All right. Next question. If this is from Erwin, if basic GPTs can have hallucinations, doesn't this add to the worries of combining GPTs into an AI agents?
That's a good question. I would say adding tools reduces some of that hallucination, because instead of asking it to answer from its own knowledge with certain things. So we showed you how you can do data set lookup, for example. That could be one thing that will help reduce hallucinations. There's other techniques like RAG as well, if you wanted to, but really, I would say that this actually reduces hallucinations as opposed to adding to the complexity.
Okay, awesome.
Because these tools are basically a predefined step that you can test independently from the model. The model just chooses to call. It's a simple Python function that the model calls, and typically, given a certain input, you always have the expected output, rather than asking the model itself to search its own knowledge for that sort of stuff. I hope that makes sense.
Awesome. All right. And then we have a question from Bassirou. There are two questions. I'm gonna ask one question, and then I'll follow up with by email with the other one. But the first one, or the second question he asked was, what are some effective strategies for managing multiple AI agents working together across different functions like customer service, predictive maintenance, and inventory?
Creating, I would say that the quick answer is really documenting what each agent does. And luckily within Dataiku, once you have that documentation, you can put it all together into what we call Agent Connect, which is a very simple interface similar to Answers, but serving a different purpose, basically allowing you to choose the perfect agent for the perfect situation. So if somebody from, let's say, marketing asks about the latest things, the latest campaigns, it will directly connect to the marketing agent. But then within the same application, if then they want to ask about a different thing, maybe something from sales that they're interested in, then the other sales agent will be engaged. So really having documentation around what each agent can do, and then pulling that all together if you have Dataiku within Agent Connect. So then the right agent could be selected for the right task.
Awesome. All right. We have a question from Simon, who asks, do all LLM models need to be locally available?
In this case, this wasn't a locally available model. This was a Azure OpenAI model that I used. But if you want, the same functionality could be accomplished with a locally hosted model. As you may know, as part of the LLM mesh, we support both cloud-hosted models, like the one that I use today, as well as locally hosted ones. And the functionality was exactly the same. What I showed you today, as long as you have one LLM available, whether it's local or in the cloud, it should work the exact same way.
All right. We have a question from Jens. Do you support MCP-based agent interfaces? And MCP refers to, I'm just adding this as part of the question, Model Context Protocol, which is Anthropic's new standard introduced in November for connecting AI assistants to the systems where data lives, including content repositories, business tools, and development environments. So I'm curious, Daniel, if you have something to say about this, but if we don't have much to say about it yet, I can follow up with some information following the webinar.
I think a follow-up would be needed here. All I know is that I spoke with somebody internally, and it's something that we did explore, but this doesn't use MCP for what we've shown today.
Very good. All right. Here's another question from, we've got one from Carrie. How does the prompt interact across the mesh, the Dataiku LLM mesh, to the LLM, particularly if it conflicts with custom instructions or custom GPTs in your LLM?
Could you repeat that question, please?
Sure, yeah. How does the prompt interact across the mesh to the LLM, particularly if it conflicts with custom instructions or custom GPTs in your LLM?
I actually never tried it with custom GPTs. I would assume that if you create a custom GPT within OpenAI, it will take that as its main prompt and main instructions, and then try to apply whatever prompt you wrote in Dataiku on top of it, because that's kind of the base model, and then the custom GPT is just a new prompt on top of that base model. So I don't know exactly how it's gonna interact, but I'm assuming that will be the order. You'll first assess the base prompt, which is the one that was used when creating training the model. Then you'll use your custom GPT prompt, then your Dataiku prompt. And if they're conflicting, then I'm assuming that the top one will be the one that wins. But I never tried it, so actually I'm curious. You gave me some homework.
Oh, awesome. And we'll follow up, Carrie, with that via email for that. Another question here from Juan. Can you use the Finbert model and the XGBoost model in Dataiku?
Yes, we actually have examples within our ESG solution of Finbert being used locally. So it's a model that we host locally within a Dataiku code environment, and then we use that within the flow. And then when it comes to XGBoost, I would say that's typically done with AutoML in Dataiku. So then you could call on that model using the prediction tool as part of the list that I showed today. So both of them are supported. And I would say XGBoost, it's even more embedded in the sense that you don't have to write any code at all or anything like that.
Terrific. All right, great. A question from Aaron. How do I decide which LLM to use? Are there any guidelines for that?
That's a great question. I think something that everybody wants to answer today. What I could say from personal experience is that trial and error is the best way. And if you have a tool like Dataiku, luckily you can document that. So we have what we call an evaluations recipe, which creates an evaluation store that allows you to assess over time with different models and kind of different prompts and so on, how the model performed on given metrics. Those metrics could be custom created by yourself using, I think, the RAGAS framework, or you could let an LLM judge the responses. So really, there's no clear answer, but I would say the same way, tracking what you're doing and just trying with different models until you find the right one. My personal favorite right now is Gemini, but so is everybody else's, because that's what the LLM Arena leaderboard says. But
Awesome. All right. Tolu is asking, can you have a front end that uses SSO or single sign-on like Okta to figure out what agent or knowledge base a user has access to in a multi-agent or multi-knowledge base architecture?
it's a good question. I haven't seen that yet. Usually Dataiku will take care of that authentication layer already. So once you log into the instance, you already have access to those data sets. I'll have to, probably that's another question that we'll need to come back to. Not entirely sure. Okay. Whether another layer of SSO is needed there, I'm not sure.
Okay, great. I'm going to ask one more question. We've got one from Jay. It looked like all the LLMs available to you were API calls to a service. Can we just download and use local models from something like Hugging Face?
Yes. So I could show that probably as well. I don't have any configured in my own instance, but indeed Dataiku's vision is to allow you to use whatever model fits best for you, whether that's self-hosted or something like the local Hugging Face ones.
Okay.
And awesome. We already have, I think, some of the customer stories. I would recommend checking our website. We have examples of customers that already used local models. It was a pain in the beginning figuring out all the NVIDIA drivers and everything else, but now it's all smooth sailing. So
Awesome. I am going to ask one last question because I happen to know the answer myself, but I'll let you answer it, Daniel, because it'll be better than my answer. Ricardo asks, how can we control the pricing for usage and monitoring their performance?
Within Dataiku, we have those capabilities as well. As part of the advanced LLM mesh, there's something called LLM Cost Guard, which basically allows you to set limits, get notifications if certain projects go above thresholds, as well as reporting on who used what time, how long, how much did they spend, how many tokens, that sort of stuff.
Terrific.
And then I think the second one was around evaluate. So as I mentioned earlier, Dataiku provides an evaluate recipe that could be used to create an evaluation store that keeps track over time of your responses given a particular prompt.
All right. Terrific. Thank you so much for your time today, Daniel, and to all of you for joining us. I'll just mention that if your question was not answered during the session, I will be following up with you directly. I'll be hunting down those answers internally and getting back to you. We really appreciate your attendance today and hope it was useful for you. And we'll see you in the next webinar.
Yeah, for those of you that are customers, I can't wait to see what you're going to build with this.
Definitely. All right. Thanks very much, everyone.
Thank you.